Hello, thank you so much for clicking this video today. So I've been getting this question a lot. How many night tokens am I going to get from the midnight airdrop based on the amount of ADA that I actually hold? So I've done some math. We're going to get into some calculations in just a minute. But I first wanted to talk about, what is midnight very briefly. It's a new thing. And, the first thing I'll say is I've got some info that, we'll likely see this airdrop, around August 6th. August 7th, that date may change, but this is kind of the most recent date that I've heard. If you come to this channel, I'm going to have a step-by-step guide on how you can actually claim that. So, let's get into it. What is Midnight? Midnight is another blockchain that's launching that actually provides privacy features. If you have some ADA on Cardano or some Night on Cardano, there's going to be a bridge that's going to allow you to kind of bring your ADA over or your Night over and then actually have private transactions, which I think is really smart. I think, as we head into this new wave of crypto, this is something that a lot of businesses are going to be looking for. Nobody wants to know, or, nobody wants someone else to know when they're doing a deal, how much ADA they have, or, it kind of will mess up the deal. Nobody wants someone else to know, if you ordered DoorDash too much one day, right? So a lot of us want privacy when it comes to our financial transactions, and blockchain hasn't really been able to provide that for us. And Midnight's kind of a good mix of that. You have public transactions and you have private at the same time. And this Night token, what's really interesting is when you stake it, it actually generates dust, and you use this dust for your transaction fee. Whereas on Cardano, if you have ADA, what you're doing is you're spending the ADA to send the ADA, whereas just holding Night, you're almost generating the ability to do transactions. So it's almost an incentive, for the network to be used, which I think is really cool. And, so to get into the actual, how much are you going to get? There's, 24 billion Night tokens in total. And there's 12 billion Night tokens that are going to be going to ADA holders. And there was a snapshot taken over the past couple of months that, if you had ADA in your wallet, you'll be able to use that wallet to claim, the Night tokens from the airdrop. There's a 60-day period there. So you're not going to have to rush in to claim this. Take it very careful. I imagine scammers are going to be on the rise during this. So, make sure you're doing the right thing. You have 60 days to do it. Being first isn't going to win you any award or any more Night tokens. So you want to take it slow. Make sure you're using the right website. I recommend learning how to read Cardano transactions. It's really simple. You have these UTXOs. You're going to grab a UTXO, and then it has an output, input, output. The input is the UTXO that you're using from your wallet, which is just a line with an amount of ADA in it. And then the output, showing you where your money's going. Is it going to, if you see something that says it's going to this address that's not yours, and it has all of your native tokens and all of your ADA, and it's not yours, that means you're being scammed. So be careful with that. Make sure you learn how to read transactions. It's really not that complicated. It seems like it is at first. So, stay vigilant. So as I mentioned, there's 24 billion Night tokens. Around 12 billion of them are actually going to be going to the Cardano community, based on how much ADA you held during that snapshot day. And, knowing that, we can kind of start to do some math. And I'll say this is a base math. This is obviously an estimate. I think it'll be fairly close, but there's going to be ways to actually earn more Night tokens in the future, because the other 50% is actually being, airdropped among Bitcoin holders, Ethereum holders, etc. And I imagine not all of them are going to claim that. So there's going to be another period that comes in the future that talks about, or that allows you to essentially farm them. And they're calling this the scavenger hunt. From my understanding, you're going to be able to open up something in your browser or on your phone that kind of farms this Midnight token. I'll make another video guide to show you guys how to do that. So, this is kind of that base rate that we're going to go into here. And the calculation that I have, for one ADA, if you had one ADA in your wallet, you're going to get about a 0.328 of a Night token, right? That's the base estimate. If you have 100 ADA, you're going to get 32 Night. If you have 1,000 ADA, you're going to get around 328 Night. If you have 100,000 ADA, you're going to get around 32,800 Night, right? So even after the scavenger hunt, that's going to allow you to earn some more Night tokens, you're also going to be able to do a lost and found claim. So for all the users that didn't claim on Bitcoin and Ethereum, the users that did claim on Cardano, they'll actually be able to claim more Night in the future. So this is kind of that base rate here, because it also mentions you can't have sanctioned wallets. Like a good example is like Iran. Anything that's sanctioned, they're not eligible, right? So this base rate here is likely just to be a little bit higher, but I think it's a decent estimate when it comes to calculation, right? So that's how many Night tokens that you're going to get. We're expecting this to come on, around August 6th, August 7th. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up. I have the website on dark mode here because light mode kind of blinds me a little bit. So I'm going to turn that off. But I also wanted to talk about Atrium. We just launched Atrium this week. If you guys enjoyed the video, you like this content, just support me. The easiest way to support me is click the like button, leave a comment down below, and try out Atrium. What we've built is an onboarding tool for Cardano. We have an education portal here that teaches you about crypto. I really believe that there's going to be a lot of users that are coming into Cardano from the price movements, from the midnight airdrop. And we've been working for a couple of years trying to build an onboarding tool for all of these new users, and also a way for products to market themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and here and connect to Atrium. It's a dashboard, it's an education portal, and the education lives directly in here. And we're also launching a social fi ecosystem. So the first thing we have is Atrium profiles. You can come in here, you can reserve a name. We could reserve the name YouTube, for example. And then once you actually reserve that name, you'll be able to start leveling up that profile from using the Cardano blockchain, engaging with Cardano communities on social media or in Discord or Twitter, for example, or X nowadays. And, the first thing that you can do right now is, mint this profile for around 30 ADA. You reserve your name. You can start leveling it up. These are tradable NFTs. You can almost view it as your Web3 profile or your identity, your Web3 identity, essentially. And, these are very unique profiles. And we have another update coming next month that launches staking baskets that allows you to delegate to, over 100 pools at the same time and earn additional Cardano native tokens. And then we have another big update coming around September or October that allows these profiles to actually gather delegation just like an SPO. So there really is, I don't want to kind of drone on or shill for too long, but it's atrium.io. Join the Discord, discord.gg/Atrium. It's a labor of love by a lot of different people that are all kind of coming together to launch this product. So I hope the midnight part of this video is useful for you. We've had a bunch of people in already this week. We launched on Tuesday. We've had a bunch of users doing a bunch of transactions and really enjoying Atrium. And there's a lot of cool tech behind Atrium too that I'll kind of get into at a later date and in the future. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you comment down below if you enjoyed the video. And happy Friday. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend, and goodbye.